Alright, so the title for this one is called I Know the Cure for Every Disease on Earth. You heard that right. I just told you that I know the cure for every disease on Earth. Yes, that's what I said. I know the cure for every disease on Earth. Alright, and it's the subtitle of this is also Nutrition is the reason you're all fuck-ups and the reason all your kids are fuck-ups, and you'll never not be a fuck-up until you start taking nutrition seriously. So the subtitle, I'll say it again, Nutrition is the reason you're all fuck-ups and you can't get things together in your life, because all brain function relies upon proper nutrition, and as you go day to day without proper nutrition, you cannot have proper brain function. Something you cannot know about until you experience it for yourself. So don't say anything about that. Alright, and then so the title is, like I said, I Know the Cure for All Disease, and before I get into any of this, I want to preface this with the fact that I don't have a doctor, I don't have health insurance, I will never have health insurance. I think you're insane if you're paying for health insurance. I also think you're crazy if you listen to anything a doctor says. And the fact that you don't know that you have to be your own doctor to be successful in life is something that I will never understand. But I pity all of you who doubt anything I'm about to say here. And again, I don't have health insurance. I haven't been to a doctor since I was 16. And even when I was 16, that was a useless checkup where they did absolutely nothing. I will never go to a doctor because I can't get sick. Because if you take nutrition seriously and do everything properly, you simply cannot get sick. Sickness is only derived from what you're putting into your body. It has nothing to do with outside factors. You can only get sick based mostly from what you eat, but you can actually get sick from some environmental factors. You're more likely to get sick from them based on if you have a low nutritional profile, or if you just don't take anything seriously, you're going to get sick. And I don't ever have to worry about any of that. So if you want to talk shit to me or whatever you got to say, go ahead and say it. I don't really care, because I don't have to deal with things you have to deal with. And if you do any of this, then you won't have to deal with them either. So, alright, so the first thing I gotta say here is the reason I talk about health, like you always find me talking about gluten-free stuff and being gluten-free all the time, well, that's because you can't have good health unless you're gluten-free. It's just a simple fact. So I'll always be talking about it, and then based on what it did for my life, I'm never going to shut up because I know what it can do for your life. You just haven't tried it yet. Okay, so like I said, this is called I Know the Cure for Every Disease on Earth. And the only other thing I want to preface to this before I get into it is the fact that everybody in West Allis, like all the people that know me, if you know me personally from the West Allis area and in the surrounding cities, the fact that you haven't learned any of this information for your own selves, based on all, like if you all have a lot of hatred in your heart for me, like everybody has contempt and hatred and all kinds of stuff. Jealousy and all kinds of stuff towards me, and the fact that you guys have taken everything that I've done in my life and devolved it into like school children like hatred, when the only thing I've ever done is actually I've pretty much only shared information like this with every person that I know. Like if you've ever talked to me, pretty much I don't talk to you unless it's about something like this, and then I get most of the hatred from all of you, mostly because I have shared all sorts of videos discussing various topics such as health and all of the mysteries of the world that are quote-unquote conspiracy theories to you guys. And for whatever reason, you somehow never seem to be able to actually go through the information and digest it for yourself. So that just astonishes me on so many levels, because I'm sharing with you the exact same information that I used to learn all of this, and somehow you fail to learn all of it, or fail to learn anything at all from it, and then sit back and call me all sorts of names and all sorts of other stuff. And it just boggles my mind. So that's a message to all of you out there, especially you West Stallions. You guys are some real studs, let me tell you. Like, oh man, the amount of stalking you guys do on me to end up where you guys are, and then and then you still have contempt for me, even though you're all broken down right at this very moment, and all of this information that I've been sharing for the past decade that has caused you to hate me could have actually prevented this all from happening to you, but, well, I'm apparently the only person who has very great capacity for forethought and planning for the future, because you either don't see it coming or you're in denial. It's one of the two. I don't really care. Okay, so here we go. Yep. Okay, so the first thing here is you either have a choice in life. You have a choice to make every decision that goes into every decision about what goes into your body has an impact on your health, and if you choose to put anything at all into your body that is going to have a negative impact on your health, you're going to get negative health outcomes, and you're going to require the medications of the allopathic medical doctors. The medical doctors that you see on a regular basis, they basically have a system set up to where it's based on it's based on reductionism. They say that the body has no capacity to heal itself, so there is no way that the body can use anything to heal itself. So they're in complete denial to this idea that nutrition is the way and the route the body uses to heal, repair, and maintain itself through the course of the years. So basically you have a choice where you can either choose to pretty much do everything the medical doctors tell you not to do, or you can choose to do what they tell you to do, and you're going to get sick from it, and you're going to end up on medications. And if you have already ended up on a medication, you have a choice to either reverse it or stay on that medication, knowing that medication is going to cause you further health issues that are going to require new medications to offset whatever side effects the medication that you're on is giving your body, because it's plugging a hole, but it's making new holes every time you plug a hole, and that's an endless cycle with medication. There's no possible way to, as soon as you're on one medication, you're pretty much on a death spiral to either being on more medications or you die, and then generally the medication that you're taking is going to more or less cripple you, and actually these medications are proven to cause nutrient depletion in the bones. They deplete the body of all minerals, and they especially attack the bones, but they attack the body in all different ways. And so you either have a choice: take medications and die a miserable death, or take everything you put in your body seriously, and you can not be sick and miserable like every person you see, and also fat and obese and all the other stuff that goes with it, because that's pretty much what every person in this country has ended up as, and you're in complete denial. If you can look around everywhere you go, just go look around every time you leave the house. Every person you see is pretty much disgusting. I'm not trying to be mean, because anybody could change that with 6 months of work, and mostly through the nutritional changes that you would make, because weight loss has nothing to do with exercising, so you don't really need to work. You just need to work on your diet and then start taking supplements like this right here, guaranteed weight loss. Don't even have to try. But we'll get into that later. Okay, so if you don't know this already, the allopathic medical system is responsible for at least 800,000 deaths a year and another 2.2 million severe injuries every single year. If you want to look up the study that this is based on, it's from Death by Medicine by Gary Knoll and a couple of other authors. That's Null, Gary Knoll. Death by Medicine. It's incredibly eye-opening. Hey, Pickles. It's incredibly eye-opening. They have a movie about it, as well as you could read the paper. Pretty much, if you one of the other reasons to never get sick is that you don't ever want to go to a hospital for any reason, because a lot of people go to a hospital for routine things, and they end up dying from it. And if you want to know the reasons, or that you want to know the causes of them dying from these events in the hospital that should be prevented, but they're not, because medical doctors are mostly incompetent. Well, there's 800,000 of them that die every year from this, and just go read the paper if you want to know about it. The ways you could die in a hospital are pretty freaking scary. So again, one of the main reasons you don't want to you want to take this seriously is you don't know that you're going to make it to old age. You might be one of those people that drops dead at a random time, and you never even get to enjoy the old age you thought you were going to live to, even though you wouldn't even enjoy it, but because you would be all broken down and everything. But you want to do anything you can at all to stay out of the medical system. They're going to murder you. That's all they can do. And we can sit back and argue on this all day long, but you ever seen anybody go into a hospital and come out healthier? You ever seen anybody go get a surgery and be like, oh man, my shoulder feels great now? It might for a little while, and then, what do you know? You see them a couple years later, back to the same old stuff. Body's destroyed in the same ways, probably even worse than before, because most of the times when you go into the body, it's invasive, and you really should be correcting that through some natural means, such as physical therapy, or correcting whatever muscle imbalance is causing that to happen in the first place. So there's literally almost no reason to use these people for anything at all. On top of this, this doesn't even get counted into how many people they kill either, because you can't measure this, but the dietary advice that doctors give you that cause things like heart disease, when they tell you to go on a low-fat diet, they tell you the opposite true. They tell you to go on a high-fat. If you go on a high-fat diet, you're going to get heart disease, but really the truth is, if you go on a low-fat diet, you're pretty much going to get heart disease. So that's just one of the stupid things that doctors will tell you to do in regards to diet that causes even more people to die every year, and then also causes you to have all of the illnesses that get you there in the first place. Just one glaring example is the example of salt. You can't find a doctor really anywhere that's going to tell you, hey, eat a bunch of salt. Salt's real good for you. Salt your food to taste. Put salt on whatever you want. Get a real high-quality salt with lots of minerals in it. No doctor's going to tell you that. They're going to tell you the opposite. They're going to tell you salt causes elevated blood pressure. They're going to tell you salt causes all kinds of other garbage like that, and that is not even remotely close to true. It takes about 30 minutes of research at most to confirm that salt is one of the best things you can possibly eat. And that right there is killing tens and hundreds of thousands of people every year that don't even get counted into the statistics for the deaths that are caused by the imbecility of medical doctors. And then on top of that, this is huge, and you'll never even remotely be able to count this, but if you don't get at least a moderate salt intake of a good quality salt, you're going to have weak stomach acid, and if you have weak stomach acid, that's the starting point of bad health, because weak stomach acid means you can't digest food properly, and then it also means there's what's it called? It's like a yeast buildup in there. It's something along, I can't remember the terms offhand right now, but you get, the stomach does not do what it's meant to do if it doesn't get salt. So if your stomach doesn't work, you're missing the first step of all digestion. If you can't digest food, you can't do anything in regards to health. So that alone, if a doctor's telling you to not eat salt, like, you want to run the other way and scream at this dude and tell him he doesn't know what he's doing, because he doesn't even, the only thing he can do is put you on drugs. That's all they can do for you. If it's outside of that, you might as well just talk to Google. Google's not a very good resource at this point, but you're better off talking to Google than you are a doctor, I'll tell you that much. Just try Googling, you need to eat more salt. And I guarantee you, if you spend about a half an hour figuring out how stomach acid works, and then figuring out what salt does in it, it's a pretty simple thing. But if you go listen to some charlatan out there that's just that has no basis in science whatsoever, he's probably gonna make up some sob story. Oh, my granddaddy ate all kinds of salt and he died when he was 73, and that caused him to die. Yeah, you can take anecdotal evidence, or you can look at actual science. And if you look at actual science, 9 times out of 10, you can prove the doctors to be wrong on all dietary advice they're giving you. And quite frankly, if you ask me on this one, I'm pretty sure that it's built into the model, because the model is based on a slaughterhouse. Hospitals are slaughterhouses, and if you really want to fill your slaughterhouse up with patients to rob, well, you might as well tell them to eat a bunch of garbage that's going to make them sick. I mean, hey, I could be wrong on that, but it does seem to fit what's going on in this country, because you can't find a person that's not already indoctrinated into these ideas that, oh my God, red meat causes the cardiovascular illnesses, and oh my God, I can't eat my salt. I can't eat my salt, but I can drink 750-gram cans of soda a day. Yeah, like it's absurd. Okay, so really the last thing before I get into it here is there is no magic bullet to health. You can't find any magic bullet to health ever. You have to base everything on your good dietary choices first, because if you don't make good dietary choices that do not kill your gut microbiome, then you can't absorb the nutrients you need to become healthy in the first place, that you think you're getting from your food, that you're not getting, that you should be getting, and that you pretty much can only get through supplements at this point in time because they're not found in our food. So there's no magic bullets to health. Health is a lifelong fight for survival. Health is a lifelong working job of managing every single thing you eat every day and making sure that none of it causes inflammation. We know the main causes of inflammation that are considered to be acceptable by our mainstream dietary consensus, when in reality there are no such thing at all. So you gotta commit to a life of hard work. Well, it's not even hard work actually, because you think that eating healthy is hard, but it's really not, because like I already said, everything that you think is healthy is unhealthy, and everything that you think is unhealthy is pretty much healthy. You could take that to the bank 9 times out of 10, but if you got any questions at all, just ask me. I will give you any resource I already know about, and I know all of the resources you will ever need on any subject you could possibly think of. So if you have any question, ever, just ask me for a link to information, and I will give you tons of it. My messages are wide open. Okay, so like I said, the cure for all disease only works if you commit to diet. It cannot work if you eat the foods that are killing the gut microbiome, and that is pretty much every common food everywhere in America. Even the things that are healthy are always coated in something that is unhealthy and that is killing the gut microbiome. And then on top of that, they put soda everywhere. You can't go anywhere and not get soda with a meal. If you're drinking soda with a meal, you can't have gut microbiome health, because carbonated water, which soda is made out of, neutralizes your stomach acid. So if you're doing that, you're basically, especially if you're doing it daily, you're basically saying, hey, stomach acid, don't work today at all. We'll take the day off. And if you do that daily and daily and daily on a monthly basis throughout the years, you're going to compound that that neutralization of your stomach acid into complete destruction of stomach acid. And you desperately need stomach acid to have health. So the other thing here is, every time you eat offending foods, your gut microbiome condition gets worse. I kind of hashed this over a little bit, but every time you do it, your gut microbiome gets worse, and every time you do it, you basically offset any progress you have made in terms of regaining this function in your body. So if you have regained your digestive function and you go back to what caused it in the first place, you're more prone to having even harsher side effects, and they'll come on even stronger and quicker than they ever have before, because the body's reacting to inflammation happening. And now that you've fixed it, you're going to have a hard time going back to it, because the body will have a very sharp response to whatever inflammation you're reintroducing to it after you've given it up. So that right there is a sign, or if you've had any experience with this, it's a dead giveaway of a sign to not be doing any of this stuff anymore, because when you can see exactly what it's causing to happen, well, then you know that all of these offending foods are doing this every time you're eating them. So if you're doing it consistently, you know to never do it. But, I mean, you don't even have to take that. You can just take the science of it. There's a variety of ways you can kill the gut microbiome, and if you're doing them, you're not going to have one. The reason that the gut microbiome is so important is because the gut microbiome uptakes nutrients in the bloodstream. The only way you can obtain any health whatsoever is through the use of nutrients. You wouldn't be alive without nutrients flowing through your bloodstream. So basically, the more you put into your bloodstream, the better of a chance your body has to use them. And a lot of these offending foods that I'm about to go over, they prevent the nutrients that you are putting into your body from being uptaken into the blood. So if every time you eat these offending foods, they prevent the uptake of nutrients into the blood, and from there you really can't have any bodily functions. So the more and more you do it, as the older and older you get, the less bodily functions you're going to have, because these offending foods are going to keep taking away your ability to uptake nutrients, even the minimal nutrients that you do have in your diet. Okay, so the last thing here is, I talk about how you have to quit junk food, but if you've never done what I'm about to go over, you don't know how easy it is to do. I myself struggled extremely mightily with this over a long period of time before I figured out all of this stuff that I'm talking about right here. I tried to quit eating junk food like when I was about 22-ish or so. That was like my first foray into health. I was trying to eat real healthy, and then like every 7 to 10 days I would break down and I would have to go eat like whatever fast food, or I didn't really eat fast food actually, but I would break down and eat a whole bunch of junk food, and I never could understand why. And then I heard all this information from Dr. Wallach, and he basically explained that if you have trace mineral deficiencies in your diet, you're going to have food cravings, and as soon as you put the trace minerals into your diet, these food cravings go away, because hunger is nothing more than a signal for nutrients. So if you're hungry, your body's trying to signal that it needs nutrients for it to go through its processing of its functions. So when your stomach's rumbling all day long and you just filled it up and you eat 3-4 meals a day and whatnot, well, the reason you keep getting hungry is because your food doesn't have any trace minerals in it. And as soon as you get these trace minerals into your body, you get willpower. So quitting junk food's easy. It might seem hard to go through quitting a bunch of stuff in your diet, but if you actually take this seriously, like really, really seriously, and you figure this out on your own and understand why you need to be getting each nutrient into your body and doing a good deal of educating yourself on this, it becomes easy. It becomes beyond easy. You don't even have to have willpower to quit junk food. So going through all this isn't the immense undertaking that you might think it is. Okay, so basically, I'll save that for the end. Okay, so I'm going to list the 12 bad foods. I'm going to put a link to this on the screen when I make the videos. So basically, I'll go over the main ones because these are the important ones, but no carbonated beverages ever. Like I said, they neutralize stomach acid. You can't have gluten either. Not only does gluten is wheat, barley, rye, and oats, so anything made from wheat, barley, rye, and oats, especially wheat. Wheat is in everything, but the barley, rye, and oats is important too. Oats don't actually contain gluten, but they contain another protein that's very similar to gluten. I forget the name of it offhand, but trust me on avoiding oats. Even gluten-free oats, don't eat any oats whatsoever. Also buckwheat, you can't eat buckwheat, so those are the 5 main offending gluten-based items that you can't have. But what gluten does, gluten not only neutralizes stomach acid just like carbonated beverages do, it also, the proteins in wheat are indigestible, so they go through your small intestine, or they go through your stomach acid undigested and go into your small intestine, and they knock over your intestinal villi, which is what your body uses to uptake nutrients into your bloodstream. So these proteins, basically, they act like little bowling balls going through your digestive tract, and they knock over the little finger-like villi that absorb nutrients as your food is pulled through the intestines. It's broken down, and then your intestines basically suck it up in the form of nutrients. Your food is basically nothing more than a combination of nutrients. Like, say you have an apple or a steak. Like, your steak is just a bunch of B vitamins. That's all really the body sees it as, unless you do some damage to it carcinogenically through bad cooking choices. Then it'll recognize that through inflammation. So, like, okay, the other one is no red meat. You want to stay away from, not no red meat. Excuse me, that was terrible. I wish I could take that back. But no well-done red meat is the real thing. The reason you don't want well-done red meat, no heterocyclic amines. When you cook well-done red meat, they create a little carcinogenic compound called heterocyclic amines. They cause cancer. If you routinely ingest carcinogenic compounds, you're going to have massive inflammation from this. Directly, or especially a compound like a heterocyclic amine is really dangerous. There's a lot of things that might not be that dangerous, but this one definitely is. And you can also, there's a lot of ways you can also cook your meat to create polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, which is a fancy name for PACs, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PACs. You can get those through cooking meat over an open flame, basically. I've gone over this in another video. I'll do it all the time. I'll do it again, but if you want information on it, just let me know. So, no well done red meat. What else is there? There's I have to look at the list actually. I'm blanking. All right, so no fried food at all, and you want to stay away from all cooking oils. Cooking oils oxidize, and oxidized oils cause inflammation in the body. And then fried food is especially horrible because it's generally cooked in oils, and even if it's not cooked in oils, it's still horrible for you because it's superheated. Even if you cook your food in beef tallow, like a lot of these new age carnivore people try to tell you to do. I actually had a guy arguing with me. He was trying to tell me that beef tallow is healthier than spinach. That's how crazy some of these people are now. Or no, not even beef tallow. Beef tallow is healthier than spinach, but he said French fries cooked in beef tallow is healthier than spinach. That's just absurd. There's heterocyclic amines coming into play with that. There's all kinds of problems with that. It's just barely less worse for you than eating fried foods cooked in oils. But you want to stay away from oils especially because your body has no idea what to do with oils, and oils oxidize like crazy. Plus, when you heat oils, they turn into trans fats. So as soon as you heat any oil, doesn't matter what it is, it turns into trans fat. And if you're eating trans fats, that's just inflammation, cancer-causing inflammation going directly in your body yet again. I can't believe I'm blanking on this list. Another, you got to stay away from processed meat, which is basically anything. If you find anything that's got meat in it, that's like a microwavable item, stay the hell away from it because you're way overcooking your meat when you're microwaving it. So especially those microwave dinners, they have a dual based issue for you in that they're all the cheap preservatives in the frozen thing, and then you're superheating the meat by microwaving it, so that's another huge problem. But also processed meat, anything, sausages, bacon, ham, anything like that, if it says nitrates and nitrites on the label, either or, sodium nitrate, either one, don't eat it. These disrupt the digestive process. Yet again, this is pretty much the same way carbonated beverages do, just a little differently. Carbonated beverages more so attack the bones, and nitrates will attack the digestive tract, more likely the colon. If you think of colon cancer, a lot of people connect it to meat. The real reason that is because it's processed meats that are causing this colon cancer. It's the nitrates. I can't say that. It's those that are getting in there and causing the carcinogenic damage to the colon. It's not the meat at all. Even meat being overcooked is going to be relatively not causing not much damage to the digestive tract. That's more of it doesn't affect the way not nearly as much as nitrates, which turn into nitrazamines in the digestive tract. And you can look into the science on that if you'd like. It's fairly easy to figure out. The last person I told about it came back to me in about 6 hours and was like, "Damn, I didn't know any of this." So it shouldn't, as long as you are willing to do the work, which most of you have proven that you're not. You're never going to get anywhere until you start doing the work on your own. Because if you haven't figured this out, like what justification would you have to do any of it if you don't know any of this to be true? But apparently a lot of you just like to hide from the truth and avoid it. So instead of facing it head on, apparently I'm like really rare in that I face everything head on and I accept the truth and everything. But that doesn't really bother me that you won't. So okay, so here it is. This is the cure for all disease. I'm going to probably cut this into a separate video on its own. The cure for all disease is nothing more than a mathematical equation. It is a mathematical equation that you must fill out in the form of nutrients. Each nutrient represents a part of the formula that fills out the equation. So the equation is essentially this. You need to eat a calorie-restricted diet. Because the reason for this is because the equation is that you need to pack as many nutrients as you possibly can into as low calorie count of a quality diet that you possibly can. So whatever calorie allotment you have for the day essentially needs to fall in between 2,000 and 3,000 calories depending on how big you are. Potentially it could go a little over 3,000 calories if you're really, really huge. Generally for women, you can even drop down to like 1,800 calories and get away with it. Anything between about 1,800 and 25 calories a day is the optimal way to go. The reason for this is because caloric restriction is the singular connection we have to longevity. You could, if you want to research the science on this, just look up caloric restriction and aging. Caloric restriction is the only possible connection we have to anti-aging, and aging, you can't reverse age, but you can get age reversal effects from eating a low calorie diet because your body takes a heck of a lot of energy to digest food and you don't even realize that. So you want to give the body a chance to use as little of energy as possible. This is pretty much thermodynamics 101. So basically all you got to do for good health, pack a low calorie count like I just told you about, and then you've got to pack as many nutrients as you possibly can into as low of a calorie count as you feel comfortable getting by on each day. And what that means when I say pack a nutrient count into that daily calorie allotment is there's 90 known essential nutrients that we know of right now. There's 16 vitamins, 60 minerals, 12 amino acids, 2 essential fatty acids, and then on top of this, you've also got to get antioxidants. So basically, you got to get about, at a minimum, 5 to 100 times the RDA of all vitamins. You got to get all 60 major, trace, and minor minerals, and then on top of that, you got to get 16 rare earth elements, which you don't even know exist. These are the key. When I talk to you about trace minerals, this is what I'm talking about. Okay, so here's a list. Okay, so some of the major minerals, you all know them. The major minerals are things like calcium, copper, zinc, magnesium. Then there's minor minerals. Minor minerals are things like tin, iodine, cobalt, phosphorus, things like that, potassium. Those are known as minor minerals. I think potassium actually might be a major mineral, I forget. But then there's trace minerals and rare earth elements. Trace minerals are things like iridium, rhenium, rhodium, samarium, thallium, thulium, terbium, cerium, cesium. Okay, so if you don't get these things in your diet and they're not found in your food, because quite frankly, most of these things, a lot of you ignorantly believe them to be toxic, and they're not. So you got to get all these every single day. These right here are what take away food cravings. You don't get these, you're going to have food cravings the rest of your life. And then you got to get all 12 amino acids. And then both of the essential fatty acids. So there's essential fatty acids right here, which is basically ALA and LA. Alpha linoleic acid is one of the 2 essential fatty acids, and then the other essential fatty acid is linoleic acid. If you don't get at least 9 grams per day of a combination of these two essential fatty acids in the correct omega profiles, well, you're going to suffer from it, because the minimum daily requirement for a large number of bodily functions is 9 grams per day of each of these omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. There's alpha linoleic acid, ALA, and linoleic acid, 9 grams a day. That's just one of the requirements you have to put into your equation for good health. You don't fill out the 9 grams in terms of your total calorie count, you're gonna have a bad time. So that's just one of the parts of the equation. And then another one that's not even technically a part of it, but you still got to do it, is you've got to strive to get at least 20,000 points worth of ORAC each day, which is simply a measurement of antioxidants. Everybody knows about antioxidants. We all know of them. We all go out and buy our Palm Wonderfuls and think we're getting our big antioxidants. You kind of are. You're getting a little bit from that. But you've got to get at least 20,000 ORAC points per day minimum. And I would actually tell you to get 50,000 minimum. And if you can, get 100,000 per day of ORAC points, which you can accomplish a variety of ways. I take supplements to do it. This has a 8,000 per serving count of ORAC, which is more than an entire carton of blueberries is. So, like, if you want a little bit of frame of reference here on this, a carton of blueberries is roughly, I think, if you eat a whole carton of blueberries, a pint of blueberries, I think that's roughly like 5,000 ORAC points worth of antioxidants. So that $1 scoop of that right there, not only it has every essential nutrient you can name, it also has a higher ORAC score than an entire carton of blueberries. So that gives you a perspective on not only how to measure ORAC, but also how to put context into here on a value perspective. So, like, count that money up, you're getting way bigger benefit from your buck from that than you are from a carton of blueberries. There's no amount of nutrition that could ever be in a carton of blueberries that's like, this is like 1,000,000 times more nutrition than what's in a carton of blueberries. And if you can't see that, that is Beyond Tangy Tangerine, 2.5. So, yeah. So, like, when you think about this, you've really got to you got to do a little bit of brain power here and think, oh, hey, this $1.20 scoop of Beyond Tangy Tangerine has not only 10 billion trillion times the nutrition that $4 carton of blueberries has, but it also has more antioxidants than it. So why the hell would I ever eat the damn blueberries? And then also another perspective this provides you is just to the overall effectiveness of why supplements are so effective. If you measure the supplement that I have on the floor right there versus the carton of blueberries and what nutrition is in the supplement versus what's in the blueberries, the supplement wins by 1,000,000 times. So if you extrapolate that into what that does for your alleviating hunger, there's nothing that could ever satisfy your body in that carton of blueberries that would even come close to doing what my supplement does there. That's part of why this is so easy for me to pull off, because I know that my supplements have my back on all of this, whereas you people out here are measuring stupid things and you have no frame of reference to understand anything whatsoever. Okay, and to help you understand ORAC just simply means oxidative radical absorption capacity. The reason this is part of the equation for good health is simply because all health damage in the form of inflammation is truly written down as oxidative stresses on the body. So basically, antioxidants, as you can tell by the name, they antioxidize you. So the oxidative damage that you do to your body is canceled out by antioxidant intake. So when you have over 20,000 ORAC points worth of oxidative radical absorption capacity protection, or ORAC protection, well, that's offsetting any damage you do to yourself. That's yet another reason why I have such great peace of mind about health, is because I know that my oxidative radical absorption capacity offsetting ability is there every day, because not only am I not doing the things that cause oxidative stresses, I'm actively giving my body all the protection and defenses that it needs to battle any oxidative stresses in my environment. So a lot of you out here are all worried about dumb things, when in reality all you got to do is know that you're getting a huge sum of ORAC protection every single day, and you ain't spending a freaking fortune to do so like everybody else would be doing. But hey, if you don't know the equation, how could you be doing this to begin with? And I'm the only person who's ever gonna fucking tell you this equation. So that's the reason I'm making this, because I'm the only person who knows it like this. There's people that know aspects of this, but they've never put this entire thing together. And actually, I took this from everybody else. I just made up this little quip about the equation, because it is true. I'm telling you that this is an equation, and it absolutely is an equation that you fill in every single day. That's why you always see me carrying this around. This has what I need to fill in my health equation. The Ontane Tangerine, OsteoFX. Everything in this stuff here is in this bottle right here. And it's how you fill in the health equation. Okay, so again, I'll go over the equation real quick. The equation is to pack as many nutrients as you possibly can into a caloric restricted diet, which simply means maintaining a diet between 2,000 and 3,000 calories a day. And in addition to this, you need to focus on filling in all of the categories of nutrients that I named, all 16 vitamins, all 60 minerals, all essential fatty acids in the correct amounts. And then, well, I'll leave it at that one. And then, like I said, focus on the antioxidants on top of that. If you do not fill in the body's needs for all of these nutrients every single day, well, you're going to suffer the ill health effects, because a lot of the reason for intaking these nutrients is because it does offset the damage that that is happening in your body. And then on top of that, these nutrients are responsible for every biochemical process in the body that there is. There's nothing that's happening in the body that isn't fueled by nutrient usage. Your body's using up nutrients to do everything that it needs to do. To give a properly working brain, it's got to have every B vitamin every day. Your brain doesn't, the neurons in your brain, all of the synapses in your brain, none of that fires without B vitamins. And B vitamins need all kinds of mineral cofactors to even work in the first place. So, again, like, it's pretty simple stuff if you look into what a nutrient does within the body. To extrapolate this into, oh my God, I gotta get as much of this as I can every single day. It doesn't make any sense to not do so. Okay, so I'm going to go over just getting sky-high nutrient counts. Like, I already went over this a little bit. These nutrients are not found in food, which is why supplements are needed. Supplements are, they're not easy to formulate. It takes quite a bit of skill and also knowledge of quality control to formulate a supplement. But if you find a good supplement, like the ones I have right here, well, they're going to have nutrients that you can't find in your food. And it's quite a ridiculously convenient thing to have all of your nutrition lined up. You know exactly what's in it, and you know exactly what amounts, so that you know that you're getting the absolute minimum daily requirement for all your bodily functions to process correctly. Once you have the nutrients filled in by the supplements, anything that you're eating in your diet is simply value-added nutrition. You don't even really have to worry about it. All you have to do is stop eating the junk crap stuff that I named before, and you can pretty much fill in your diet with anything you like. Like, you would be surprised that as much as I talk about nutrition, you would be blown away by how it is that I truly eat and what I truly think about nutrition, because it would be considered contrarian by most, but it's not really contrarian in any way. It's just that you haven't been properly educated on a lot of things, and in almost all cases, everybody's been brainwashed beyond anything they'll ever be able to understand, and it takes lots and lots of work to figure this stuff out. So the whole diet thing, you don't know what you don't know yet, so you have to kind of set it aside and learn about what is and is not healthy before you make a judgment upon, or not even before you make a judgment, but like before you make a decision on what you want to do about this, because this is a lot more open than you think it is. You could fill in your diet with quite a bit of enjoyable stuff and have no ill health effects from it. And actually, another thing that a lot of people don't understand is most of the stuff that we deem to be an indulgement, like dark chocolate. A lot of people will tell you dark chocolate's, oh, I can't eat too much of that, but that's absolute nonsense. Dark chocolate is something that's going to be a satiating thing for you. Like it'd be a great addition to anybody's daily calorie count. Everybody needs a little bit of sweet something here and there, and then sugar is even relatively healthy for you in small amounts. You need it. It's best to get it from fruit, but you absolutely can use it you need to get minimum amounts of it for the body to function properly. So there's a lot of ways to throw in enjoyable stuff here that you currently believe to be unhealthy, but actually is no such thing. Okay, so the math equation thing is kind of why supplements are so beautiful. If there's a formula for health, and you know you got to fill it in each day, and the formula is nutrients, and you can get nutrients through a supplement, and you can get the exact amount of each nutrient measured out in the supplement in the correct form, because the label has the form that it comes in directly on it, so you know exactly what you're buying. So these supplements having preset values that you can fill in makes them an invaluable tool for anybody seeking to obtain good health, because you don't know the nutrient counts that are in your food. You can never know the nutrient counts in your food. And if you know that you have to get a certain amount of each nutrient every day because it's essential to do so, and there is mandated by the government, there literally is a mandated amount by the government that you need to get each day, or you're going to have disease. And they'll even tell you that themselves. It's called the Recommended Dietary Allowance, the RDA. It's the percentage on any supplement you can find. So on this one right here, just take one example, vitamin A. This has 3,200 micrograms of vitamin A, which is 356% of your daily value. So the RDA would be 100% of your, it would be 100% of your daily value, which in this case would be roughly about, I think it's like 950 micrograms, doing that off the top of my head. Something about 900 micrograms is about the RDA for a 100% dosage of vitamin A. Well, here's the thing. Getting only 900 micrograms of vitamin A a day, or what did I say there? Yeah, 900 micrograms a day of vitamin A, that's not enough. You need to get like at least 4 times that. It's not even negotiable. The body has far more of a need than the silly recommended dietary allowance by the FDA and the NIH. Actually, the NIH, National Institute of Health, is who sets the RDA, and it's absolute garbage. And it's, quite frankly, it's a travesty of science that we have a nation of such advanced science, and we allow ignorance like the RDA to be set as low as it has been set for everybody. It signifies that our scientists are simply not thinking. They're asleep at the wheel. And the main reason for that is because their brain function doesn't work, because they don't take nutrition seriously. So they don't know how to process information, even though they might be scientists. Because if we truly had a nation of science-based thinkers, there wouldn't be anybody that would even let the government get away with setting the RDA as low as they do. One of my heroes taught me this. I already knew a lot about the RDA on my own, but Ben Fuchs, pharmacist Ben Fuchs, if you look him up, Ben Fuchs, that's Fuchs, pharmacist Ben. He's amazing. He does incredible work, but he taught me that the RDA is not the recommended daily allowance. It's actually the recommended deficiency allowance. It's what the government tells you. It's basically set at a level to where you got to get this, but you're going to suffer ill health effects from it. So we set it just high enough so you get enough so you don't have noticeable health effects, and yet somehow it's not enough. So you've got to get well above the RDA of everything that you're getting. There's pretty much no exception to this whatsoever. The one exception actually is copper. You don't want to get more than 2 milligrams of copper a day. That's pretty much the only nutrient that you can name where you have to actually worry about the toxicity threshold of it. Okay, so I went over the equation for the cure for all disease, and if you fill in that equation, you will never have disease. And that right there is the cure for all disease, which leads me to the statement that you should already know this, but every disease on earth is caused by nutritional deficiencies. I can literally sit here all day long. I can do it all day long, and I can connect various nutrients into the various diseases that they caused. I'll just go over, I don't want to make this too long, but just a couple offhand is your heart, literally, the mineral responsible for your heart pumping is known as selenium. Selenium makes the heart pump, and also vitamin E is massively important in blood flow. So heart disease alone is essentially directly caused by selenium deficiency and vitamin E deficiency. Another one is diabetes. Diabetes is essentially a chromium and vanadium deficiency. The reason for this is that chromium does the exact same thing that insulin does in your blood. So anybody injecting themselves up with insulin to quote unquote fix their diabetes is taking in completely completely inefficient route to giving what the body needs. Insulin is something that causes major health problems in the body because it's incredibly difficult for it to process when it's injected into the bloodstream. So if you look into this, chromium does the exact same thing in the blood that insulin does, except it's about 100 times more effective, and it has no ill health side effects. So the idea that me saying that chromium deficiency is the cause of diabetes is not even it's not even remotely controversial in any way. All you have to do is research what chromium does in the bloodstream. It mimics everything that insulin does for you, except for it's like a freaking Superman insulin. If you put diabetic insulin on steroids and sent it to Krypton and had it train, whatever, I don't know what the hell you want to call it, but if you had a freaking super form of insulin in a super incredible way to deal with the effects that are that you're having on, or that diabetes is causing on your body, well, chromium reverses them. The problem with this is most of the foods that diabetics eat, well, they get in the way, or they inhibit the absorption of the chromium that you need to reverse the effects or to give the body the ability to regulate its blood sugar properly. Basically, what chromium does is it helps you regulate your blood sugar, and that's the same thing insulin does. We could spend hours and hours talking about this, and you could spend hours and hours researching this, but it's impossible to find. It's literally impossible to come to a conclusion that chromium does not play a role in diabetes and does not cure diabetes. But the other one here, it's also a vanadium deficiency, because vanadium deficiency causes the binge eating symptoms that cause the blood sugar problems to come about in the first place. If you can't control what you're eating, you can't control your blood sugar. And if you can't control your blood sugar, you have diabetes. So vanadium is actually even more important than chromium in the bloodstream, even though chromium has more of a direct impact on diabetes than vanadium does. But the vanadium, again, stops you from the binge eating. If you can't stop the binge eating, you can't heal. And again, this is beating a dead horse here, but if you are eating these inflammatory foods, then you can't absorb the vanadium in the first place. So even if you wanted to quit eating junk food, if you have the inflammatory damage from eating gluten, which kills 95% of your absorptive capacity for nutrients, well, you're never going to be able to control your food cravings, and then you're going to be obese, you're going to be sick, you're going to be diabetic, everything like that. Another one here is any bone or arthritic problems whatsoever. If you got back problems, if you got hip problems, knee problems, ankle problems, if you've ever broken a bone in your life, if you've had a broken arm, if you've ever broken your ankle, well, that means you have a deficiency of a variety of nutrients. The main ones being boron, zinc, magnesium, calcium, and strontium. Those are the main bone-building nutrients that you need, but that's not nearly enough. I'll throw one out there for the ladies offhand. Any ladies, copper, it builds the skin. It's responsible for the elasticity of the skin. So again, don't take too much copper. You don't want to go over 2 milligrams a day, but you want to get right in the sweet spot of at least 1 milligram of copper a day in the right form. You can't get copper gluconate. You can't get any cheap copper. You got to get chelated copper and take it with meals. And that right there is responsible for the elasticity of the skin. If you have a good copper supplement, like say this OsteoFX, which has all of the nutrients you need to rebuild, repair, maintain, and regrow skin, ligaments, bone, tendons, everything in regards to the exoskeletal system, and that's the skin too. The skin is part of your skeletal system. It's simply an organ within itself. So if you if you don't have copper, you're going to have skin problems. So what I was trying to get to here is for the ladies, if you want to pay for a facelift, you could pay $50,000, or you could take a $1 calcium supplement a day that has the right amount of copper in it for you, and you'll have the equivalent of a facelift. So the only problem with all of this is I can sit here and name all of these deficiencies which cause every disease. I could do it for every disease on earth. I can tell you what nutrient is the main one responsible for it. But the problem here is all nutrients have cofactors. So if something is a vitamin B12 deficiency, you're not going to fix it just by taking vitamin B12. You're only going to fix it by having the mineral cofactors, aka the trace minerals that your body needs to be able to process these nutrients properly. So for your body to be able to 100% effectively use vitamin B12, it has to have all mineral cofactors necessary to do so. They have to come in a package together. That's part of the whole equation here. If you don't package them together, the body can't make use of the vitamins properly. This is the reason most of you take vitamins and you don't get any effect from it whatsoever, because they don't have the mineral cofactors you need to absorb them properly and use them properly. The body uses them in tangent with one another, or in conjunction with one another, to fix itself essentially, and to drive all of its biochemical processes. So even if I sat here and talked all day long about which nutrient does this and which nutrient does that, and what B vitamin helps digestion, or what vitamin C does and all the various pathways that it corrects in the body, it doesn't matter, because you can't use vitamin C if you don't have the mineral cofactors you need to do so. Okay, so so basically, I mean, every time you're going to be missing nutrients, you're stressing the body, because the body, it needs to have these nutrients to go through all of its biochemical processes. So like, say, to reform your skin, because your skin is falling off all the time. Like every day you're walking around, your skin's flaking off of you, and a lot of you have way worse flaking, like dandruff, because you have serious inflammation damage caused from mostly eating gluten. That's causing your skin, well, you not to be able to absorb the nutrients you need to have your skin sticking together. Like, your skin is only elastic because of the copper that's in your diet, and if you don't have any copper in your diet, it's not going to be elastic, and it's going to start flaking, all kinds of stuff like that. And any vitamin that you are missing, your body needs that to go through its biochemical processes. So if it's missing, and if it's also missing the minerals that it needs, your body's not firing on all cylinders, and it's continually taking damage. Everything about health is basically just nothing more than a war. You go to war with your body based on what you put into your body. It's not true for everything, because if you put the good things in your body's at peace. But if you throw in these heterocyclic amine bombs and other inflammation bombs, you're constantly bombarding your system with damage that it's got to fight, and that takes tons of energy. So this whole thing of missing nutrients is just an endless cycle of stress. And if you think about that, it's easy to understand how these micronutrients missing in your diet come out in the form of mental health issues and all sorts of other stuff that you see in so many people these days. And again, I kind of went over this with the whole copper thing in the providing a facelift, but this is all preventable aging. These when you're missing the nutrients you need for your biochemical processes to play out, you're causing aging to accelerate. If you give your body the nutrients, you stop it fighting itself, and it's able to age more gracefully. So these nutrients that I'm talking about, they're also responsible for not only you never getting sick anymore, but also for you essentially providing yourself within a reasonable amount of preventable aging. We all know there's these people that look 90 years old and they'll be 45, and then there's a 45-year-old that looks like he's 90. There's endless variations of that. We all know people like that, and the only ones that ever turn out looking great in their older age are people that you know to take care of themselves. So if you even take what you think to be taking care of yourself to the next step, aka these supplements, because they're a godsend, well, you're going to reverse aging in a way you didn't even dream of doing. Then here's another one that you need to learn about is you aren't hungry, you aren't hangry, you don't need a Snickers, you're starved for nutrition. All of your hunger is nothing more than a signal for nutrients. You can easily defeat these. Like I've already talked about here, the cravings go away when you take the micronutrients. If you get the micronutrients in your body, you don't have cravings. You don't realize this, but all your foods that you have cravings for, well, there's a reason for that. Like say you have a craving for chocolate, well, it's probably because you have a magnesium deficiency. If you have a craving for a big juicy burger, the reason for that is probably because your body needs some saturated fat and cholesterol because you haven't gotten it